So Alpha Wave 2 is over. And in the lead up to Alpha Wave 3, I thought it was good time to reflect over our previous top 5s to see if anything has changed between the waves. Now these will be shorter because there are less changes than you might have thought, but there are still some, which is why I thought it was good to go into them. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hello everyone, Ragewood here, back with another Godforge video, and today we are going back through the top 5 rares to see if they were still top at the end of Alpha 2. Now, for those of you who haven't already seen it, do go check out, I'll ping a card up there, my top 5 rares from Alpha 1 video that went out probably around 2-3 weeks ago now, by the time you are watching this. And in it, we had Scarlet number 1, Icarus, Isolde, Shishi, and then the starters. So, has anything changed? And for me, the answer is yes. So we're going to start at number 5 and then come back to see whether I believe our Ice Queen is still number 1. So number 5 for me is Shishi. He has dropped a place, okay? Which is fine, but what is the reasoning for it? It's mainly because we've sort of realised that his Awakening 3 is bugged. I didn't realise this at the time of the top 1, but he's placing barrier on everyone in the Fafnir fight, or any time really that there is AoE debuffs being placed, and that shouldn't happen. It should only be on himself. Now with that in mind, it is going to reduce his effectiveness. Now he's still going to be key in some of these early boss battles and things as well, with the attack down and still placing the heal on everyone. But when that barrier gets taken away, it's certainly going to reduce his usefulness. So for me, he has dropped a spot. He's still better than a lot of the other rares, but he is now number 5. Also dropping a place and coming in at number 4 for me this time around is Isolde. Now Isolde is still an amazing rare, incredibly useful, especially for the caverns. You can complete the caverns completely using her and utilizing her, but she's more useful as an imprint, I think we have all discovered this time around, and that is what makes her strong. It is this: you run 2 defenders, so when they get attacked you heal by 5% if she's on the team. It's 2.5% on the imprint, but if you have 2 of them, then happy days. Now earlier on in the fights I was running her and then 1 imprint for 7.5%, but I found that as I was climbing I wasn't really utilizing imprints too much on my weapons. That's just a mistake by me. So as a result, I could probably just drop her, put 4 or 3 or 4 of her imprints on the rest of my team, so I'm still getting the benefit that I was having as I was climbing, and I can bring a more impactful unit in, whether that be an epic or a legendary. But if you don't have any epics or legendaries, she, as I say, is still good. She has a cleanse, she gives attack up at Awaken 5. Still a solid rare, but she has dropped a spot for me. Coming in at number 3, we have Ramses. So I have split up the starters this time around. Ramses is fantastic. He's got brilliant wave clear and he places the acid. Now the acid is fantastic. It deals 5% max HP damage on units, and then on bosses this is reduced. Now even though it's reduced, it is still very key for some of these fights. The bosses have got a lot more difficult in Wave 2, and they're taking a lot more turns. They've got faster, they've got stronger. As such, it actually allows you to not necessarily run Naginata, because the bosses are naturally going faster than you, that the dots are dropping off, allowing you to reapply and get full value. No point did I find my sort of acids stacking up. Not that they can, but you get the idea. And Lady Shock has also fallen off this list. The reason why is sort of down to Ramses and his effectiveness as well. Both Ramses and Lady Jock have a 35% chance to land the debuff on their skill 1 and an 80% chance on their core. Both of them also only hit once. Now, this is too low of a chance for Lady Shock to stack up the bleeds to make them useful, whereas with Ramses, he only needs to land it once to get full effectiveness. So whilst his ultimate doesn't do as much damage as Lady Shock, I think overall he brings more value. So I think Ramses is number 3 and Lady Shock has fallen off just because she's not consistent enough with the bleeds. But Ramses is still a king and a pharaoh that he is, and therefore he is number 3. Now, who is number 2 and who is number 1? Now, this was very tough between these two champs right here, but I'm going to go with Skadi as a number 2. Now, she is still an incredible unit, an incredible rare for control, placing fairly consistent freezes on both her core and her basic. And then she's got the speed down on her ultimate, which is fantastic. But why has she dropped a place? It's because her usefulness in bosses has reduced. So when Fafnir switches to his exhausted form, you can't control him anymore, which you could in wave 1. And as a result, that has dropped her down a peg to number 2. She's still very good, say, especially in the climbing. Sometimes, for example, in like wave 142, you just need to be able to control that Pangu or what have you to allow your damage dealers to rotate and get another turn in, which is why she's still amazing, but not number 1 anymore. So yeah, falling a spot at number 2 is Skadi, which means number 1 is Guan Yu. Who'd have thought it? The guy that's been shitting on him for the longest time as potentially the worst starter, is putting him as the best rare. And essentially, what this boils down to is the increased difficulty in the bosses. We can't control them anymore, so you need ways to deal with them fast. And shout out to Liko, who sort of helped me see this as well. Now, I did use Guan Yu this round, and whilst his wave clear is not as good as the other twos, he makes up for it in the boss fights. That's because the bosses take reduced damage from Bleed, Acid, and Blaze. What they don't take reduced damage from is max HP. Now, if you build Guan Yu with some survivability and you bring someone else to do the wave clear, you just bring him in for this max HP, he will clear a lot of the bosses for you. Now, I was rather unlucky in that I didn't get any follow-up attackers early on. No Aphrodite, no Shamash, no Zeus, and Shishi's doesn't work. So I did struggle an awful lot. But if you get those follow-up attackers and you allow Guan Yu to go more than once and he can retaliate into the drain, you can really shred those bosses. Beowulf has been nerfed hard. His core and his ultimate does not do the damage that it used to do. 3% and 2% is what his core and ults are. Guan Yu's still doing 5 on his basic attack. And in a meta where follow-up attacks are king, he is shining in these boss fights, which tends to be a large stumbling block for a lot of people, especially Guardian 120. So after Alpha Wave 2, Guan Yu is now my top 5 rare going into Alpha Wave 3, and is probably the one that I'm going to pick as my starter, because you will pick the others up along the way. Anyway, are you shocked with this turnaround by me? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and look after yourselves. Work hard, but as always, play harder. And I will see you in another one soon. Cheers.